What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Wrestling Junkies podcast. I am Mr. Cincinnati. Podcast dad was unavailable today. He had some family matters to attend to. It is not a gimmick. If we tell you that once, we tell you that a million times. But the show goes on. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. As always, you can find us on X and TikTok at Junkies Pod. You can like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram at Wrestling Junkies Pod. But most importantly, do us a huge favor and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We are on the road to 1,000 subscribers. We need your help to get there, and we just ask that you tell one person, whether that is your mom, your dad, brother, sister, situationship, sneaky link, bartender, therapist, doesn't really matter who. If they like pro wrestling and you think they'd rock with the Wrestling Junkies, share the community with them, and let's grow this together. We've got Fernando in the house always early before the stream even starts. Thank you so much for joining me tonight, my friend. Hugo Ramsey is also in the house. Hey. Good to see you. Thanks for joining tonight. And our friends at the Main Event Wrestling Network have reposted this stream, and apparently I get notified of that now. But while you're at it, give our friends at the Main Event Wrestling Network a follow. If you love great live podcasts, blogs, fan art, reviews, memes, shorts, you name it, we have it. This Saturday, we have an incredible 12-hour stream starting at 9 a.m. Eastern Time. The Wrestling Junkies, you can catch us from 10 a.m. to noon. And we have got some incredible guests joining us. Our friend Sammy Chaos is returning to the show, as well as David Bartolome and Will Scar. You have probably heard their covers of wrestling themes on Spotify, and honestly, they're one of the best things going in music right now. And we're gonna have a great conversation with them and have some have maybe a musical performance. So you want to tune into that this Saturday, 10 a.m. to noon. The fact checkers in the house. It's Tequila Tuesday. Mr. Ramsey seconds that. I guess I'm gonna have to get in on a margarita at some point. Mr. Ramsey, that is your homework for us later. I'm supposed to have Rhodes Wrestling Association's Vin Parker joining me tonight. He has had some technical issues, so will not be able to make the stream tonight. So I apologize to anybody that tuned in for him. We're going to get that interview rescheduled at a later date. So quite frankly, I am literally working without a net here tonight, and figured with the week in wrestling that we're having, there's a little bit of controversy that has been going around on the independents today that I've really not had a chance to talk about. So I'm going to use a couple of minutes to do that. And this will probably be one of the shorter episodes of the Wrestling Junkies podcast that we've done, but that's okay. I didn't want to pass up the opportunity to get behind this mic and talk a little bit of wrestling. So I think everybody at this point by now has heard about Knox Pro Wrestling, the promotion owned partially by Rikishi, and an incident that happened over the weekend with a wrestler, Syko Stu, and Raja Jackson, the son of UFC fighter Quentin Rampage Jackson. A moment that was, I think, scary, violent, shocking, bewildering. I think that they are all appropriate adjectives to describe what we saw. If you have not heard or seen what's gone on, it looks like there was an incident in the ring in which Raja Jackson delivers a double leg takedown to Syko Stu, and then gets in upwards of 20 unprotected fists to the head, real ground and pound kind of situation. There were a couple of wrestlers that tried to break this up and trying to stop whatever this was. As this is happening, no one's really sure why, but there have been quite a few details and videos that have come out about this. And fact checker, I agree with you. If you get comment and memes, it would be again unreal. This is, there's been a lot of things that happen in the world of pro wrestling, and I think that a lot of us, we've seen some crazy shit, but this was just kind of inexplicable. I think is the word that I'm going to use here. We at least from what we know, this stemmed from a kind of pre-taped segment in which there was supposed to be a tussle backstage, and Syko Stu uses a beer can and hits it over the head of Raja Jackson. It sounds like that was part of a script of some kind, that this was, not going to result in what happened in the ring here. And it's just, again, bewildering what happens here, because a guy takes 20 shots to the head. He's in serious condition. He appears to be stable, which is good. But a lot of significant damage as it relates to the injury suffered here, choking on blood and teeth, which just it's tough to think about. It really is. And this is me kind of talking not just as a wrestling fan, but I am a lawyer by day, and I've spent the majority of my career in criminal defense. So I've seen some things, but this is, if I'm a defense lawyer, this is a hard case, especially with what we're seeing kind of come out in the days since this incident. Rampage Jackson has gone on the offensive and trying to stand up for his son, which I think that any parent would do in this situation. But it's still fucked all the way around. And that is that's what I think, a lot of people are talking about right now. So it sounds like after this initial backstage segment took place, that there was a wrestler, AJ Mana, who is telling Raja Jackson to go out and get his receipt, ask Raja if he remembers what a receipt is, and says that you need to go and take care of that. AJ has come out with his own statement indicating that he was working in kayfabe and has disabled his Instagram comments, things of that nature. So his perspective is that this was a worked incident. I don't know. I don't have the impression that it was. I looked back at that initial video of Syko Stu hitting Raja Jackson with a beer can, and it sounded like an empty beer can to me, and something that was just part of a script set up, something that was going to take place in the ring later. But Raja clearly didn't feel the same. There's some video footage of his kick stream in which he just indicates he's just going to go out there and he knew what he was doing, knew that he was going to take this very violent approach to presumably seek some sort of revenge. I'm not in his head. I don't know what was going through his head at the time. We can only go based on what's on video. And the video seems to indicate that his actions were premeditated just based on what we're seeing here. And it just that's disturbing enough in and of itself. What I find particularly egregious is that even after this assault takes place, we are way past the wrestling match here. We're way past any plan that there was going into this ring, where I believe, this was an all-out assault. And we have a referee who very clearly on video throws an X, and then opponent still goes for the pin here. And I can't think of a time in all the years that I've been watching wrestling that we've seen such a serious injury take place, X is thrown, and then we still see a wrestler attempt to pin somebody that is not in a position to continue with the contest as planned. And I just found that to be so particularly egregious. It doesn't make sense to call for an X and call for medical attention, because that's what that hand gesture means, and then still continue to count the pin and not say, hey, we can't do this. This match is very clearly off. I don't know the name of the opponent of Syko Stu. I don't know the name of the referee. But I'm just saying, from what video has circulated, that just I don't know. I can't think of anybody else that would have taken that action of trying to go for the pin and trying to put a finish onto a very this scripted contest is very, very clearly over, because one of the participants is unconscious as a result of an assault. That's what this was. The wrestler that really did step in here to try to break this up, I know that he did a podcast within the last 48 hours and has talked about getting in there and saving the day. And had he not, I feel like this situation could have been significantly worse than it was. Um, so again, I don't know this wrestler's name, but kudos to him for stepping in when the situation required it. Um, I don't know the veracity of the allegations that anybody affiliated with Knox Pro is told to kind of lay low and not be involved with the authorities with this. That's what's making the rumor mill. That's what we're seeing in videos that are circulating right now. If that is true, it's just it's abhorrent. It's all around fucked because and anybody that's watching right now and is in the chats has any additional context or anything that they want to add, please please do so. I'm simply just kind of reacting to what it is that we're seeing on social media circulating about this story. I am not personally familiar with any of the participants in the match. Knox Pro, anybody affiliated with them. I mean, we know that this is a school that is run and partially owned by Rikishi and another member of the Anoa'i family, I believe. So just if that is true, that people are being kind of encouraged not to cooperate, it just sets a bad precedent for independent wrestling, that these sorts of things can take place and that there are no repercussions for people that may not have been fully trained. I understand that Roger Jackson has that MMA background, trained by his father. I don't know what pro wrestling training that he has, if any. But the goal is always to take care of your opponent in the ring. I understand that things happen. I mean, Roger Jackson's not the first person to go into business for himself. I understand that. But this is just so shocking that, you can't help but stop and look at kind of, the crossover between pro wrestling and those that are not in the business, but still have some sort of a, online presence that you want to use to, for the benefit of your promotion. This is, people say all press is good press. I fail to see how this is going to be good for Knox Pro. They've lost their WWE ID affiliation that has been very quickly removed from social media, from WWE ID's website. I mean, Fernando, it is absolutely fucked. Again, I wasn't there. I don't know what the plan was for this event, any of the backstage stuff, whether what the segment was supposed to lead to in the ring, anything like that. But from what I saw, and as far as the backstage segment, it sounded like it sounded very much like an empty beer can that he hit Roger Jackson with. I don't know if it was discussed ahead of time, but I would imagine that it was. But I just don't see how that translates into a receipt of 20 plus unprotected punches to the head, where had other wrestlers not stepped in, he was not going to stop. That is just it's insanely fucked right now. And we haven't really heard, or at least I haven't anyway, and if anybody has, please let me know in the comments. But I haven't seen any official statement or response from WWE ID. They've just completely scrubbed them entirely. But we haven't seen a statement from Knox Pro. It does sound like Syko Stu, at least according to a Facebook post by his brother, that he is at least awake and starting to recall the events of the night. This is it's just shocking, and the not just the wrestling world, but I believe that Mr. Beast has also offered to help pay some of his bills. Chris Jericho has also donated. Chris Nowinski has also said, whatever, if anybody can put me in touch with him so that I can try to work with Syko Stu on recovery and what that looks like. I mean, Chris Nowinski knows this stuff inside and out, and it's bad if he is immediately reaching out and wanting to offer his assistance, which I'm glad that he is. Syko Stu's a military veteran who used wrestling as a way to work through his PTSD, and it is just when put into that context, it's just heartbreaking. Wrestling, a lot of people look at it as an escape, myself included, and you want it to be a safe space, not just for the fans. We always encourage fan safety and fan participation in a safe manner, but that still extends to everybody that is on the other side of the barricade, putting on the performance as well. And the ball was clearly dropped here. And it's unfortunate. I would hope that Knox Pro eventually has something to say about how this incident transpired. I would hope that Raja Jackson will speak on this. We've so far only heard from his dad, who had nothing to do with this. And I understand as a parent, you may want to step in and do what you can to assist and protect your child. But at the same time, your child is a grown ass man and took things way beyond the scope of what was originally planned, and leaving a guy hospitalized and just I love pro wrestling, and to have seen that this is something that took place is just all around heartbreaking. And I know that this is a very, very decisive subject right now. There are people that have come to the support of Roger Jackson. There are those that are on the side of Syko Stu. It's just, if what we see on video is any indication, this is an incident that went entirely too far, that was premeditated by Roger Jackson, and when it didn't get the reaction that he hoped for, is now backtracking and finding other people to blame for this incident that took place. I don't know, I don't know if there were any calls for any unprotected shots to the head, which, again, that happens sometimes in wrestling. But this was just, again, so beyond the scope of what was discussed, I'm sure, that you can't help but feel bad and feel just sickened for what it was that was presented, and for those involved that wanted to try to continue to finish the match with a pin. Especially after having thrown an X and then making the 1, 2, 3 count, from what I could tell in that video. It's just hard. And Fernando, I mean, I agree with you. But there's always going to be divisive topics that people take sides. It just is what it is. It's just kind of human nature, I believe. But I agree with you. And now it's kind of a, where do we go from here? How do we, we put things in place to protect people at WWE, AEW, TNA, like there's all of those sorts of things, but there's not always that oversight on the indies. And very surprising, when this is a WWE ID affiliated school, that this kind of conduct took place, and for what? That remains to be seen. I don't know how much we're actually going to hear from everybody that was involved in this. Again, the wrestler that interfered and tried to stop this assault, I apologize that I don't know his name. I only saw the clip that was making the rounds about the allegation that Knox Pro is telling people that were involved with the event not to cooperate, or at least lay low for a while to kind of obfuscate the investigation. But there's definitely more questions than answers right now. And at least the one thing that I believe is that this was an incident that went entirely too far. This is something that, if, again, me putting my lawyer hat on, if I am in Syko Stu's shoes, I am lawyering up as soon as possible, and having a legal team also conduct their own investigation and figure out what happened here. As far as I know, there's no criminal charges pending against Roger Jackson. It sounds like there is a police investigation ongoing, so we'll see what comes of that. But this was, again, just an egregious incident that should have been avoided. And now, as a result of it, here's a promotion that had a massive opportunity on their hands, being a WWE ID affiliated school, that affiliation is gone and highly unlikely to return, I would imagine. TKO does not want this headache, does not want to be involved or affiliated with any of the fallout of this simply for having that designation. How that affects them remains to be seen. Again, this incident only happened 2 days ago. The victim of it is still hospitalized, and we've not heard anything from the perpetrator, Raja Jackson. Again, only heard a statement from his father, Rampage Jackson. Hopefully this is not a black eye for the ID program. I hope so too. There are a lot of cool things that are happening with the ID program right now. And I would hate to see the people that are working really hard and that those that don't have these incidents be affected by it. Again, it remains to be seen what that looks like. I can't say that I know a whole lot about whether there's any sort of code of conduct or expectations that the program itself has for the affiliated schools, or kind of what things are put in place as kind of a way to hold them to a standard. I don't know. But I think that now would be a really, really good time for WWE ID to make that public, so that way that there is transparency. I have seen tweets about people that weren't necessarily aware that this was a school that was affiliated with the ID program by way of Rikishi. So it's just, again, just a really, really unfortunate situation all around. All I can say is all the best to Syko Stu. If you've not, seen the GoFundMe, share that. That is, it's something that he's really going to need right now, and we can only hope for the best for him and hope for a speedy recovery as much as we can. And I hope that Nox Pro takes accountability and really, tells the public kind of their side of what they believe happened, because at this point there's more questions than answers. And again, this is a real hit to their credibility. And if they want to try to find people that will want to work and train in this environment, that's a step that I think that they're going to have to take. But that's just me, and that is me talking for a little bit about this situation as a whole. Again, all of this is, I'm just giving my thoughts and commenting based on what it is that has circulated as far as videos and things of that nature. So I'm only commenting based on things that I have seen that have been making the round online as far as videos of the situation. But I definitely want to hear what you guys have to say about it. You can find us on X at Junkies Pod, as well as on TikTok. Start a conversation on Facebook as well. But I think that is going to do it for me tonight. Tomorrow, our friend Josh from Rope Break Media will be joining the show. We also have special guest Matthias joining us as well. You can catch us again, the Main Event Network 12-hour stream, the Main Event Marathon coming on. Apologize, that is the wrong graphic there. And I just like to put that up because Podcast Dad had to wear the Bengal Fala. And since he's not here to give me shit for it, that's what we're going to do. But Main Event 12-hour stream this Saturday, 10 a.m. to noon, the Wrestling Junkies on. We've got some incredible guests joining us. This Thursday, we will be also doing a little bit of Coastal Empire Wrestling coverage. Legends of the Low Country is out on YouTube now. You do not want to miss this, including the CEW Heavyweight Championship match between Hollywood Hunter James and the Flying Fro Michael Walker. Incredible match, and we're going to break it all down. But that is going to do it for me tonight. Thank you to everybody that joined. You can find us again, X and TikTok at Junkies Pod. Like that Facebook page at Wrestling Junkies Pod on Instagram. But subscribe to that YouTube channel. Please, please, please do us a huge favor. Subscribe. We are on the road to 1,000 subscribers. We need their help to get there. If you're rocking with the Wrestling Junkies and what we do here, tell your friends to join our community. So that is going to do it for me tonight. For the Podcast Dad, who is not here, I am Mr. Cincinnati. This has been the Wrestling Junkies podcast. Until tomorrow, enjoy the graps.